Welcome, all of you. We're delighted to have you with us today. I'm Don Snow, and I'm in St. George, Utah, down on the desert. And Gerhard Roof is our host. He's up in Orem, Utah. And we have people online with us from several different places in different states around the country. We're glad to have you all with us. Today, we're going to talk about city directories. Today is the 25th of May of 2021, and we're live on Zoom. And if you're watching this later, it'll be on, you'll be seeing this on Facebook or on YouTube later on. Down at the bottom of the screen is where the notes are, and we'll talk a little bit more about where those notes are. And Gerhard usually posts that link in the chat also on Zoom and in the comments on Facebook. So we want to talk about city directories. So the first question is, what are city directories? And some of us have seen them, some of us haven't. They're actually printed books, and they're like phone books, but they started printing them long before telephones were invented, and so you can find them from way back in the 1800s in some cases, and mostly for the larger cities, sometimes for smaller cities as well. And then they kept on printing them even when there were telephone directories, and most people had a telephone, but they're really helpful, because they tell you who was living in the area or what businesses were available there. And they're usually by street address. Now, phone books are usually by the alphabetical by the name of the person or the business, but most city directories are printed by street address. So you can look on there and look at a street and find your ancestors and see who the neighbors were. And frequently, the neighbors were relatives, because in many cases they married or they moved together and they lived near each other. So they're residences and businesses. Now the class notes, which are available online, there's the link again. And I'm going to switch to that here in just a minute and show you what they are, because they have the links that some of the things that we want to look at today and talk about. So the UV tag is Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. We're in our 31st or 31st year now, almost 32 years we've been running this thing in Utah Valley. And on that website is where my homepage is with all my stuff. Okay, I'm going to switch over, tab, and get to, here we go. Okay, this is the link to where my class notes page is. And on this, I update this on a regular basis. This was done just a couple of days ago. You can see the date there as to when it was updated. There's links to my sub pages here of different sorts of things that are going on in different, I've read a freeware corner article every month that's on there about different kinds of freeware and so on. Here's the classes coming up right here in this section. And there's our class. It's number 1 here. Today's date. This is the 25th of May of 2021, and it's city directories. And if you click on that, it'll take you right to to where the notes are. The 2 classes coming up that are scheduled for June are those 2. One on Zoom basics. That's going to be a bare bones introduction to what Zoom is, because we hope to have a much more complete presentation by somebody who really knows the story on that we recently got working with us on the UV tag group. And then at the end of June, we'll talk about the VLC audio video player. Now down here are the past classes, and all those are links that are underlined there with all the notes for any of the past classes. So all that stuff's on there. I've also added on here the links to get to watching all this stuff. So the class is coming up. If you want to watch on Facebook, there's the link. And there are, I don't know, 10 classes on there and bunches more on YouTube, and that link is further down for the other ones. And then to watch on Zoom, there's a link for the classes.
Don, we don't see the links.
They're right there. I'm highlighting them right now. Do you see those links?
Your class notes are not up.
What's not up?
Your class notes are not up.
I'm looking at them. You're not seeing them?
No.
Oh.
We're on the class notes page in your PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, that's where the link is.
Yeah, but
This is,
you're
there's,
referring to the page itself. You're not sharing the page.
no, because it's a link to how you watch this stuff.
Well, what we're seeing is the title slide of your PowerPoint.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the point. Yes, we're seeing the PowerPoint slide.
Oh, well, okay. I got to go back and restart then. Let me go back here and see if I can find the double click on the green thing. Where's that green thing? Let's see. Let me stop sharing and go back, and now I'll reshare again. Share.
Stopped sharing yet.
Okay. And now what are you seeing?
Now we're seeing your class notes.
Class notes. Okay. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I guess I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Okay. This is the class, the notes for today's class. And we'll come back and talk about that in just a minute. Let me click over here. Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll click back on this thing. Now you should be seeing the class notes page.
Your web page, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. This is what I thought you were looking at. Oh, golly. I'm glad you mentioned that, Bruce, and all of you. Thanks. Okay, so anyway, here's all the sub pages and all the stuff on here. Here's the classes coming up. And this is where I put the links right here. This is what I was highlighting a minute ago that I thought you were looking at. This is where you can click to get the links to watch these programs. There's the city directories class notes to there, the link for that, and then here's for the past classes and how you can watch the past classes and all this stuff on there. Oh, God, thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you letting me know. Okay, this is the city's directories notes themselves, and we'll spend more time in here later, but let me just walk you through quickly what's going on here.
No, Don, you're not on the class notes. You're still on. There you are. Now you are.
Oh,
I see them.
yeah, there was a delay then, evidently, on your computer, because it changed on mine, but not on yours, but did on some. Okay. All right. Anyway, if you got problems, if I'm not saying things that make sense, let me know. Thanks. Okay. There's the abstract as to what we're talking about today, and so that's all there with the details of it. Here's the welcome and the introduction. This is about city directories. We'll talk a little bit more about what city directories are and so on. And then here's a bunch of links to find them. The city directories on Family Search and the Family Search Partners. Now, those are two major sources. On Family Search itself, the books online has all kinds of city directories, and linked to that are the set item 13 is MyHeritage. They've got a wonderful collection of city directories, and then Ancestry does too. And those are partner sites that go with Family Search. Here's another site, the City Directories on Internet Archive. That's not a partner site of Family Search, but they got lots and lots of city directories on there, and they're available and searchable and so on. Then down below here is a list of additional city directory websites, various places where you can find them. And this only scratches the surface. There's lots more, but these are some of the big ones. Cindy's list, of course. And there's a list called Dawn's List. That's not me, it's some other Dawn. And he's got a bunch of city directories, etc. And then there's a bunch of articles and lists about using city directories and what you can find in them and how to use them and how to find them, and different publishers. The Polk Company is one that does a lot of the US directories.
Yeah.
Kelly's does a lot of the UK directories. Pigot's does a lot of the UK directories. White's is UK. And a couple of you people who are interested in German stuff, I actually put some German stuff on here, German city directories. They're up there. There's someplace on here. I put the
I
link.
just saw it. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, yeah. Anyway, the website is, or the internet is loaded with online city directories, but not all of them are there, and a lot of them are still in film version or hard copy in libraries. All right, now let's go back to, let me click back here and get back to our class notes. So we've walked you through some of those quickly. What we want to spend a good share of the time on is on examples and demos. Now, as I've mentioned in many of these classes, every time I present one of these classes, in looking for examples and stuff, I find more stuff on my own family. In this case, it's no different. Last night, I found bunches of new stuff on my own dad and mom that I didn't know. It's available, and now, because they keep coming up with new stuff, and I learned things about my parents that I had not ever known before, about where they lived and what they had done, and so on. My dad was born and raised, he's born in Bunkerville, Nevada, which is down near Mesquite, which is 30, 40 miles south of here in St. George. But he grew up here in St. George. But after the First World War, he was in the army over in France and Germany in the First World War. He moved to Los Angeles to go to dental school at USC. And so I thought, well, the other day I was thinking, it's yesterday afternoon, I was thinking, gee, I really ought to get a list of where they lived and the different locations. And I'll bet those are in the LA, Los Angeles city directories. And I'll bet I could find their addresses. Well, I couldn't find all of them, but I could find several. And well, I'll get to it in a minute. let me show you. One of the things I did was I started downloading information from, I went to MyHeritage and started looking at the information on their website. They've got a major collection, and the link is on the notes there. And so I started looking, and I just typed in my dad's name, Eldon Snow. Eldon Stafford Snow was his full name. And as I found these different websites, there's one that had my mom on there, but let me get down here and show you. Here's another one down here. This is in well, here's when I put 1925 on here. Let me click on that one. And I'll double click on this to open it up in here. Now, the program I'm looking at this on is Evernote. What I did was, after I found these things, I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much here. I'm just going to download these entire websites. And so I downloaded the website for all these things that I found with my dad and mom on there. And here's one in 1925. And it put the name, as I downloaded it, it put the name, everything starting where this double dash is right there. It had all of this stuff from there on, Eldon Snow, U.S. City Directories, MyHeritage. I put that date on there at the end last night when I found this stuff. And then I added by my own system here so that they are sortable. Snow Eldon Stafford, that was his name. Born in 1891, died in 1954. I was in the Navy at the time that Dad died. I was stationed in San Diego, so I was fairly close to Los Angeles. I could come home for a week or two to help my mom. 1925, and I put 00 because I don't know what date that the book was published in 1925. It was a book, and it was a city directory, the Los Angeles City Directory. And what I did was save this web page. Here's the whole web page that gives the information about my dad. Eldon Snow, 1925, Los Angeles, California. Address was 2814 South Harcourt Avenue. Now, that's one of the addresses I had been looking for. He was in dental school in 1922 to 26, I think it was, when he graduated, maybe 25. But that's where they lived. And that was their address when Dad was, I think he was, would have been the last year of dental school then. It turned out he was the student body president of the dental school at USC at the time. And so there's the address. And they were renting, says they were renting, they didn't own the place. And there's a little bit more about the address and so on. Now, I did not have that address until last night about 9 o'clock, I think it was last night, when I found this stuff. And this is just one example. I didn't want to really take too much time for it. I wanted to save off the thing. So I saved the whole web page. Here's the actual picture of the page from the directory in California. And I won't take time to expand that, but Dad is over here on the snow side, someplace over here. It's too small for me to read right now, but if I expanded that out, I could read the thing. And then I could do a screenshot of that piece. and actually label it with my dad's information on it. So that's something that occurred just last night that I didn't even know was available on there. Now let's see if I can close this. Let's see if I click on that, will that close the wrong thing? Probably will. I got to be careful that I don't close the wrong thing here. Where's the link to close this? That says city directories. I'm not sure I closed the right thing here. I don't think I did. I think I'm going to have to go back down here and open up that come on. Let me get back to let's see, if I do a Windows D, I should be able to get back here and click back on that Evernote thing. They've just redone Evernote, and it's a pain. They haven't got it all completed yet. Now, what's really surprised me is, look at these lists of things here. Here's my dad in 1914. Let me click on that one, and so that you can see what I'll double click so that it'll open it up in a big screen. In 1914, now that's before the First World War. So Dad he graduated from Dixie State College right here in St. George, that first graduating class. They got a picture of him, with the first class. They always show that picture of Dad's one of those guys in there. There were about, I think, 12 or 15 people in it. And that was 1913 when he graduated. This is 1914. I had no idea this was there. It's a Salt Lake City directory. Let me go down here where you can see they've extracted the piece out of it. There's the directory itself, but they've extracted it so it's easier to read down here. He was living in Salt Lake City on the west side on 725 West 3rd North. Now, I have no idea that was the case. It says RMS, and I assume that means that he roomed there. It says he was a student. Now, I never remember my dad talking about living in Salt Lake. And this is right after he'd graduated from down here. I assume he must have gone up there to go to school. Maybe it was a business school. It could have been the University of Utah, but now I got to check this out and find out what he's doing up there in 1914. The next place that he shows up in the next list, now let me see if I can close the right thing here. The next one he shows up in 1916, he's up in Idaho Falls. And here's the information. I won't open this one up. I'll just show you right here. He's in Idaho Falls. I knew he'd been up there because that's where he met my mom. She was born and raised up there. So he's up there in Idaho Falls, and he's living in, gives the address where he was living and so on. He enlisted in the Army, First World War, from up there, went over to France and Germany, and then came back afterwards and went back up there. And that's the next one here, 1921. He's back up there in Idaho. Why he went to Idaho Falls, I have no idea. Why he didn't go to, Salt Lake or to Ogden or someplace else. But he's up there, and that's where he met my mom. And he went back up there to work. And he was working in the Iona Mercantile. I remember Mom and Dad talking about that. And Mom used to always laugh about the fact that Dad had asked the boss, what did you think about that Mary Baker? That's my mom's name, Mary Baker. And the boss said, oh, she's a wonderful girl, but she hennas her hair. I guess that was risque in those days, that they would dye their hair brown or something. Mom always laughed when she told me that. I bet I heard her telling me that 10 times over the years. But he went back up there after the war, after the First World War, and met her. And then he went to dental school in 1922. So the next thing that's on here, 1925, Dad is down now in Los Angeles, living down there. And he wrote up to Mom in Idaho Falls and says, come on down and we'll get married. And I wonder what that must have been like with what Mom and her folks undoubtedly knew Dad from up there. But She got on the train, went down to LA, and they were married in Los Angeles. And he stayed in Los Angeles after he graduated, so I grew up in LA. But I had no idea of some of this stuff up there, particularly this 1914 thing. So you can see what happens with this stuff, with these. And this all happened last night. I discovered this probably about 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock last night. And so I haven't really got it all. I just saved all these things off into my Evernote file so I can go back and do them. With Evernote, it's got a link up here. You see there's a link there that you can click on that link and it'll take you right back to the online place where they were. And so I've been using Evernote now for years, as many of you have heard me give classes about it. Anyway, that's just some of the exciting things for me about what's going on with it. Now, let me show you some other stuff. In doing this whole class, one of the things I did was I had a whole bunch of stuff on city directories in my files that I didn't know whether it was any good or not because I hadn't looked at it for a long time and I hadn't taught the class for quite a while. And so I did a search with the program Everything that you've heard me talk about before. I put in city and directory and dir and so on. Pulled all this stuff together, deleted all the duplicate stuff, and then started looking at it. And here's all the stuff I found on there. Now, you won't be able to see this. In fact, you can probably just barely see it. I found a bunch of links to Cork County, Ireland, to city directories for Cork County. For Limerick County, I found some. That's probably from when I was teaching a class on this in London when we were serving as missionaries in the Family History Center in London, England. Here's one of Diane, my wife. Let me click on it, open it up, and show you what it is. It's from, and by the way, whenever you save off one of these things, be sure you save where it came from. And do a screenshot or download the whole thing, but screenshots are what you need mostly. And so this one is from, it's my wife, Diane Manwaring, that was her name, from the San Mateo City Directory in 1953. And I downloaded this from Ancestry, and there's the date I downloaded it in 2014, April 10th of 2014. She died 2 years earlier than that. But I was looking for it, and she was in 1953. She's listed in the San Mateo City Directory as a student. Now, she was actually a student up at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah at that time, but her folks were living still in San Mateo. And she was a student from 52 to 56 up there. But here she shows up in the city directory down in San Mateo. And so let me close that one. Let me see if I can, can I click to the next one? Let's see if I go back this way. There's another city directory. That's my mom. That's Mary Baker, Mary DeVere Baker. That's in 1928 when she shows up in Los Angeles after she'd married my dad. So she was down there at that time. Let me see if I can I click? How do I get it? If I right click, will that do this? Yeah, it'll right click. Here's the next one. This is on Diane in 1953. No, it's the same thing. Here's 1954. This is Diane, and she shows up in a city directory in San Mateo. She's still a student at BYU, but for summer she would go back home and work. And I don't know when the directories were printed, but maybe in the summer. And so it lists her there. Here's one that says Diane in 1954, San Mateo City Directory from Ancestry. And I did a bunch of these from Ancestry because they have a major collection as well. Here's another one of, this is my dad in 1914. That's the one we just looked at. These are some of the others that are, anyway, I'm arrowing through these so that you can see what some of these look like on the different sorts of things. This is my dad, 1930, with the address. And so on, I guess that's the last one that is on there. So I just put all those into a separate file, a separate folder, so that I could eliminate the duplicates and look at them and show you quickly what they look like on there. Okay, let me close that out. Well, let me just go back to an Alt. Let's see, we've seen that. And that's that. Here we go. Okay, so now we're back to my notes. Now, those links that I just showed you, those were from City Directories on Family Search and its partners. Now, the partners that I showed you there were these right here, MyHeritage, and then the one from Ancestry. And there's the links that'll get you to those. One of the major sources of internet, city directories on the internet is the Family Search digital library. That's item 10 on your notes here. I'm going to hold down the control key while I click on that, so it'll open it in a separate place. This is the Family History Digital Library. They used to call it Family History, Family Search Books, but now it's called the Family Search Digital Library. And the Family Search has contracts with a bunch of major genealogy research libraries, including the Wayne County, what's the one in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Allen County Library there, and the Houston Public Library, and I know there's about 10 of them. And they're digitizing all of their books and posting them on this for free. And so the digital library is on here, and it's got this. These are the additional resources and additional libraries on here. Allen County Public Library, Arizona State Library. Those are just a few of them. There's bunches of them. You can type in here something like, for example, I'll type in City Directory. Now, when you type in, when you're doing a search, do a singular directory, because if you're looking for a book title, it won't have directories. In the title will be directory, not plural. Okay, this is some that came up here. Look at how many that there came up. This is, I just typed it in. This is Family Search books. That many came up. 106,000 results have City Directory in them somewhere. Now, a lot of them will be in the title. Here's the Madison City Directory, a city and business directory for 1866. And so that's, I don't know whether that's Madison, is that probably Iowa? I don't know where it is, but one, anyway, the details are there. Here's one, the Madison City Directory, business 18, that's looks like the same one. Michigan City, Indiana City Directory. You can see, and these are all downloadable. They're all searchable, but you can download the whole book if you want to. There's one directory 1950 and 51 directory, and I don't know where it's from. It's Allen County Schools. It's a school directory. Here's another directory of 1910 someplace. So you can narrow down the search by typing city directory and then the code afterward, the name of the city you're looking for to find it. And you can even search by individual names. Like you can type in here your ancestor's name. I typed in my dad's name in here and came up with, I don't know how many hits, but there's a bunch of them, and I need to start looking at those too and see what's there. Or you might even try your own name, and you'll find your own name listed in various places around the country in different sorts of things. So this is the books collection, digital library on Family Search itself. So City Directories on Family Search and its partner websites, and that's what that section is. Now down here on the next section, and we won't take much time on this, but Internet Archive, many of you are aware of what Internet Archive is. It's an attempt to cover all of the data that gets lost, and anything that's out of copyright, they show the whole thing. If it's in copyright, they only show you a snippet. There's a link to where you can get to it. And if you type in the information, the website, thousands of out of print texts and so on. I typed in on this one, didn't I put it in here? Yeah. If you search for City Directory in the metadata is about the book, not the content of the book, but it's about it. You come up with 3,000 hits. So there's 3,000 city directories that are available on Internet Archive. But if you search in the text of all the books that they have, you come up with, I put that in here too someplace, 50,000 books. So those are the ones where city directory is mentioned in there, where it talks about a city directory. It says, check the city directory for this or something else. But there's at least 3,000 city directories themselves on here. Now, here's a bunch more additional city directory websites, and this just scratches the surface. Cindy's List has a great collection. Many of you are familiar with Cindy's List of genealogy websites, and good stuff in there to keep track of. New York City directories. If you're interested in New York City, they're there. In WorldCat, that's the World Catalog of all the libraries. I put in St. George, Utah City Directory, and it came up with, did I indicate how many? Well, I've forgotten what I thought I put the number in there. I think it was nine directories that came up for right here in St. George, this little city that had them. Other city directories and so on their UK historical directories. The University of Leicester over in the UK has a major collection of British stuff. Here's a bunch of articles about directories and using them and how to find more, etc. And so it's a gold mine of information as to where people lived. And as you've seen, what I discovered just last night with my own folks. So city directories are in major help in family history, and finding them and finding the people and where they lived. It's a never-ending project, though, because new stuff comes online all the time, and so you just need to keep updating your stuff and go back and say, oh, I got to do this again next year, and keep track of it. But there's lots of directories that are available. Okay, so anyway, that's a quick run-through of the stuff. Let's go back to where is the I don't know where it is. This is, let me go to slideshow, and I want to summarize what we've just talked about. It's not there. That's not it. Is this the one? Yeah, okay. So we've looked at major websites. We looked at Family Search. We didn't talk about the catalog. We talked about only the digital library, but look at the catalog also. Type in city directory in the catalog and you get bunches more stuff. And those are books that they own and so on. We looked at MyHeritage and Ancestry and their partner websites with Family Search. You can also join those separately, but since they're partner websites, you may be able to get to them without any extra charge. Internet Archive we've looked at. Other websites we've looked at. So as a summary, we talked about what city directories were. We looked at a bunch of websites. We talked something about searching, and I've shown you some illustrations of searching, and then doing screenshots. And if you do a screenshot, be sure you keep track of where it came from, because some of these things disappear from the internet, and you want to know where you got it and when, so that it's available. And they're extremely helpful for family history and all kinds of information going on. All right, that's enough for the quick run through. What are your comments and what are your questions? And if you have them, just unmute your mic and ask them.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay. I have, but it was some time ago, I found books on WorldCat, but they were not available. So I went to the public library here in St. George and for an interlibrary loan, and it worked. You can have a library loan. And sometimes this one lady did that and she paid $20. I paid only $5. It all depends on the library, but you can. And but you need to go to the public library and get that done. It's really easy. You just print out what you want and show it to them, and they look and see and get the most reasonable price book.
That's a great idea, Erica.
About 2 or 3 weeks to look it over. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, and then you could copy any of the pages you wanted.
Exactly.
But once you find it on WorldCat, it may have already been digitized, so it might be on the digital thing too. If you find it.
Yeah, you have to look that first. But at the time, there weren't. That the book I wanted was not digitized, so I went there. Actually, twice I went there. But now I also found in the digital library, I found books, and on Google oftentimes. And you know who has books? A lot of books, and you have access. Genealogy.
Oh, yeah, Jenny and they do. Yeah.
Wonderful library of books. So that's another thing.
If you're associated with any university, like if you're an alumni of BYU or some of the others,
Yeah.
you can get them free. Go to interlibrary loans and they will do it at no charge. They will send for the book and get it, and you can keep it just like Erica said. You can always do it at any public library, but they're going to charge you if you're not associated with them. But if you're associated with any university or an alumni of some university, try that because they may have it
Right.
accessible. Good. Good.
Here in Utah County, BYU does that for free for any Utah County residents with.
Oh, you don't even have to be a BYU associate, huh?
No, but they only do that for anything on the topic of genealogy. They don't do it for free otherwise.
Oh, it's the library, the genealogy library part of the BYU library that does it. Yeah, okay, good. That's helpful. Any other questions or comments?
Very useful information, Don. Thank you.
With you guys that are working down there, with you guys that are working down there in Oakland, California, Oakland would have loaded directories. I looked at a bunch of them for San Francisco last night because Diane's folks lived in San Francisco for a while, and there's got to be bunches of them for Oakland. So you may be able to help all your people that you're working with down there to help them.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else?
Good show, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Appreciate all of it.
Bonnie had some good comments, positive comment on Facebook. They were particularly grateful that you're letting these broadcasts come live to the public.
Oh, good.
There was someone there from northern Colorado as well as central California out of the
Good.
5 or so that were attending.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, hopefully the shorter version helps people too, so you're not tied up for quite so long.
Don, this is Laura.
Hi, Laura.
I'm excited to find my parents' address in Los Angeles in 1940. I know they live downtown LA somewhere, but I don't know the address, so I'll find it. Thank you.
In 1940, were they there when the census came out?
I think so. Because I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, because they'd be if they were there for the census, then you can find it from there too. But it's so simple to do a search on this for some of these things, because you can search for their, like for my dad, I just typed in his name and it showed me that I never would have thought to look for my dad in Salt Lake. I knew he was in LA and St. George and Idaho Falls, but it came up anyway. It's worth a try. Good.
Sometime I'll have to talk to you about your man-wearing ancestors, because we have lots of man-wearing friends here in Idaho.
Oh, do you? That's the that's the same bunch. Diane, they're all descended from George Manwaring. Well, not all of them. This George's brother Herbert also, who came from England. He's the guy that wrote a bunch of the hymns that we have in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He wrote about 10 or 12 of the hymns, and we sing them all the time in church. And that's her great grandfather. And that was the Manwaring.
There's also a man-wearing family up here that has a cheese factory.
Yeah, there's Man-wearing cheese factory.
Is that right? Where's that, up in Idaho?
And just outside Idaho Falls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's got to be one of the relatives from up there. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, any other questions or comments? Well, we appreciate you people being with us. And this will be online on Facebook and also on YouTube, so that you can watch it later if you want to go back over and see any of the stuff over again, or we get the links. But the notes are available online also.
Don, the sound is a little bit breaky up. We can hear you, but it has a rattle in it. It's got a rattle in it.
Oh, I noticed that some of you were breaking up too when you were speaking. I could only about half the words didn't come through.
You're clear right now.
Yeah.
We'll have a DVD of it also.
Yeah, that's right. Bruce makes up DVDs of all these shows as well for all these things, and he gives me a copy of it. And they're available if you're a member of the group, of the UV Tag group. What do you charge, Bruce? $3 a piece, isn't it? And then they're on. He mails them to you or gives them to you at the meetings. Anyway, thanks you people. Appreciate all of you being here, and thanks Gerhard for hosting it for us.
Thank
Love
you.
you, Don.
Okay, see y'all. Bye.